Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Summit Water's WellMate tank training video. Thanks, everybody, for joining. And some introductions just to get things started. My name is Wayne Lammers. I've been in the water treatment industry for well over 3 decades. Long time worked with a dealer, had my own business, and now I'm the inside sales manager here at Summit Water.
Yeah, I'm Jesse Shank, licensed plumber.
I cannot.
Your outside sales rep here for Summit Water. I've been doing this well over a decade, either installs or sales. So we've got a really good team here to answer any of your questions.
So we'll start with some of the unique features of a WellMate tank. So we've got a cutaway version here that you see right inside. And the first is that the WellMate tank has a large air cell. It's is a really durable design made from a heavy gauge engineered polymer, and it is actually a replaceable air cell component. The other part is that on the inside of the exterior itself, you can see that hopefully it's like a black colored one-piece seamless polyethylene interior lining. And so those two items are where the water comes into contact.
Yeah, so obviously it's got a little bit of a different design there. I just want to pull up your traditional pressure tank, and maybe we can just kind of go over a couple things on how the WellMate's got a little bit of a different system there. Hopefully everybody can see the steel tank cutout as well.
So inside a traditional type steel tank, you of course have a bladder, and the bladder's got a connection. So in this one, it's like a ring connection, goes right around the entire diameter of the tank. And it has the air charge goes in the top. And as you add water, that bladder gets pushed up against the air cell or the air pocket and becomes pressurized. As you turn on a tap, that air pressure will push the bladder down and expel the water out to the location. That's a little different than the WellMate design. The WellMate tank, because the air cell goes from the top to the bottom, the water enters and travels along the whole outside of the air cell, compressing that air cell. And then as you turn a tap on, what have you, that bladder expands over the entire length of the tank, expelling the water out at the bottom.
Yeah, that's a great description there, Wayne. And as you can tell, these tanks are very similar in size. That being said, the fiberglass is almost, a 50% reduction in weight. So, if you're working by yourself or you're getting into the bigger tanks, that weight difference can make a huge difference for the installer, for sure.
Yeah, so as Jesse puts that tank back, we'll talk about the exterior of this tank. So again, a little different than the steel. It's made from a continuous winding of fiberglass strands, and then it's coated in a high quality, durable epoxy resin finish. So your end product is very strong and corrosion resistant, so you don't have the potential for that rusting that you can have with a steel tank.
Yeah, you said it best there with the prevention of rusting and things like that. So would you have kind of your typical application where a fiberglass tank would be preferred over a steel maybe?
Yeah, so you get into those applications where it might be, a little more elements come into play. Might be in an agriculture situation, so in a barn, you might be under a cottage, in a crawl space, or really anywhere where you might have a more humid or wet environment. The fiberglass tank really stands out. You don't have that issue of the corrosion over time. And so just kind of going along with some of the features, we've also got on the WellMate tank a very durable plastic base to it, impact proof, and it comes with like a wide flange for a foot. And so when the tank is sitting, it's very stable, very resistant to tipping or knocking over, etc. And finally, on the bottom of both the WellMate Classic and the WellMate Quick Connect is a unique connection point. So these tanks have a one-piece molded adapter, and it threads into the bottom of the tank, much like a water softener valve threads into a water softener tank. Gets threaded on and tightened, and then once you're done, the actual connection point extends beyond the side of the tank, making it very easy to connect your tank tee to it. It also avoids the issue of having to do any pre-connections or plumbing under the tank before starting to do your tank tee connection. So from there, we'd like to move on to the connection points of the WellMate tank. So on your screen, you'll notice that there's a couple of pictures. So every Quick Connect series comes with a tank adapter, or sorry, a connection adapter. And you'll see a red clip there. You pull the red clip and you pull out the tank adapter. And that tank adapter is a threaded connection. You can use traditional fittings on it if you like. So if you're in the field with one of these tanks and you don't have the tank tee with you, you can make standard connections to it. But for today's illustration, we've separated that tank adapter and clip. And so the next unique feature is that there is the Quick Connect tank tee package. And so that tank tee is actually manufactured with a brass extension or connection point. It's got a large O-ring on it. Before I put it in, every one of those tank tees will also come with a handy little pouch of food grade lubricant. Apply some lubricant on there, and then that simply pushes straight into the tank tee manifold. And once it's firmly seated, the little locking clip holds it in place. And now my tank tee is already connected to the tank and ready for the other connection points.
Certainly makes install a lot easier.
A whole lot easier.
So yeah, Wayne just kind of went over, you know, the Quick Connect style. There is the classic style as well, which is another, you know, very, very easy system for connecting some tank tee packages as well. So on the classic style here, you know, there's also your very handy tank tee package with a O-ring in there, and then just a union. So this would simply thread on, and then you would just hook up to your water in and out, and you're kind of good to go. So one thing to always keep in mind is just, you know, make sure your pipes are supported. You never want to be stepping on any of these connections. Things can get very tight in a mechanical room, and I know it's easy to step on top of a tank instead of going to get your step ladder, but you always want to make sure you're not doing yourself any harm or the product any harm, especially on a Friday afternoon.
And on that same note with the, you know, supporting and so on, the WellMate version actually has, I don't know if you can quite see it, but the tank tee adapter, that the manifold that comes out is actually reinforced with both an upper and a lower extension on the plastic to make it even stronger. So from the connection types, we want to talk about tank sizing. So on your screen there any second, you'll see a chart. And on the chart, it lists the WellMate sizes that are available. In both, the sizes are the same in both the Quick Connect and the Classic. So your WM6 is comparable or similar to a V60 or an FL7. The WM9 is comparable to a V100. The WM12 is comparable to an FL12. The WM14 is comparable to a V140 or an FL17. The WM25 is comparable to a V250 or an FL28. And finally, the WM35 is comparable to a V350 or an FL40.
Yeah, certainly important to note as well, you know, the industry standard 5-year warranty for pressure tanks. So unless something goes extremely horribly wrong, then yeah, you're always covered by Pentair as well, which is fantastic.
Okay, so that now brings us to the current WellMate tank special. So on your screen, you'll see the brochure that's gone out this quarter already. And this sale is on through December 31st of 2025. So if you're considering taking advantage of the sale prices, you've never used one before, you want to give it a try, a great time to buy. We have a healthy stock on both the Quick Connect and the Classic, as well as the appropriate tank tee packages. So if you have any other questions as far as quoting, want some pricing, don't hesitate to reach out.
Yeah, obviously there's a lot to cover. There's tanks are kind of tanks, but there's certainly some advantages to these ones. So we kind of want to, open it up to any questions that anybody might have um, about anything, whether it's the bladder, the connection style, things like that. Looks like we've got a question there.
Hello everyone, good afternoon. Yeah, okay. So firstly, thank you for giving a training to us. And my question is, how do we know if the bladder fails? Is there any sensor or anything we get the notification?
Yeah, and that's certainly a great question, especially when you're out in the field servicing these things. Regardless of the brand, the style is going to be very similar. So just like most tanks, these ones have a Schrader valve right on the top where you can use to, put more air into the tank or take air out. When you depress that button on the Schrader valve, if there's water coming out, that's a telltale sign right away that your bladder's got an issue. There's going to be other things as well. Say when you're looking at the pressure gauges, if your numbers are bouncing and bouncing and bouncing when you're using the water, that's usually a bad sign as well that the tank isn't filling up and properly compressing and things like that. So there's going to be a couple signs for sure. You will know. You're going to have a lot better inside knowledge, I guess. If you say are using a jet pump compared to a submersible, you'll hear your pump on, off, on, off, on, off, where the submersible pump style might be a little bit harder to tell. But that being said, checking the Schrader valve, looking at your pressure gauges, and when you're turning the pump on, if it's short cycling, that's going to be a really quick way to tell if you've got a bladder issue.
Next question.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Go to Donna.
So if you detect that you do have a bladder issue, how do you change it?
So yeah, one of the unique features about the WellMate tank is you can actually change the air cell. And so Jesse was mentioning the Schrader. So if you look at the top of the tank, and inside there is a locking nut that holds the Schrader valve in place. So you'd loosen and remove that locking nut, and then you'd flip your tank over. And on the bottom of the tank, we talked already about the connection point. So this connection point will simply turn. You'll unthread it completely. And when you have that separated, you can begin to pull the bladder out from the bottom of the tank. That will expose, there's like a little hub that connects the bladder, separate the bladder from that hub, and then you can slowly push the air out and pull the bladder out the bottom. You kind of reverse the process, attach a little bit of a guide wire or string, connect it to the Schrader, and start to pull that up through the top opening, passing the bladder in through the bottom. Once the Schrader's up through the top, return that locking nut, lock it in place, and then continue to tighten up the tank connection adapter onto the bottom of the tank.
Which is a very unique feature. Most not that easy to change the bladders on other tanks or at all possible. Yeah. Great question.
We'll go with Arslan next, and then Corey, you'll be after.
First, thank you so much for the presentation. I just have a quick question. How do you size a pressure tank?
Yeah, so once again, another great question. There's going to be a couple different factors for sure. The biggest one is what pump are you using, right? So generally you want a pump to run for a minimum of a minute. Jet pumps can be longer. Some can be up to 2 minutes. It's all going to be based on the flow rate of your pump, horsepower, things of that nature. So properly sizing a tank, it's nice to know what pump you're going to use first, which generally you do. So that's going to determine quite a few things. So when you look at a tank, say of this size, and then to bump up to the next size, it's generally quite cost effective to upsize your tank, which will in turn make your pump last longer. So if you ever have any questions about sizing any of these tanks, feel free to reach out to us. We can certainly help you out, but it will be dependent on which pumping system that you're using.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you.
Corey, you can go ahead now.
Okay, yeah, it was just a follow-up question. I am fairly new to plumbing, but I'm very familiar with water treatment. I never realized. I think I've heard Rick mention you can change the bladders. Do you sell the bladders? And is like, I wouldn't imagine that's a common practice.
Yeah, it's not a common need, which is probably speaks to the quality of the bladder. They are available. So, as far as stocking, we don't stock a lot of them, really due to lack of need. But it is the unique thing about the WellMate tank is that if you do need a bladder, you can change the bladder. Most other tanks, they're all designed and constructed that you can't open them up and you can't change them. So that does make the WellMate tank very unique.
We
Okay,
can get
great.
them in
That's
too as well.
yeah, that's a great answer, especially from an environmental point of view. So thank you
Sure.
very much.
You're
And
welcome.
the prices are very good, this special that you guys have. So we'll probably try them out too. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks, Corey.
Any other questions?
Anson?
Yeah, hi. Thank you for the presentation. I just have a quick question. So, I was wondering how much should you pre-charge the tank to?
Yeah, so the WellMate tank really is no different than any other pressure tank. Industry best practices are that you should set your air charge to 2 psi under your cut-in pressure. So, for example, if you're running the pump at 40-60, you should pre-charge the empty tank with 38 psi of air charge.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think it's also important to note that if you want to give us a shout at any time, if you're in the area, Fergus, Cambridge, whatever, you want to come get your hands on one of these tanks, just see the connection styles in person. Obviously, let us know, and we'll have a couple little demos sitting around if you ever want to get your hands on them for sure.
Any other questions? Well, that looks like it. So on behalf of Jesse and everybody at Summit Water, I want to thank you for your time today and in attending our presentation. This presentation will be emailed out afterwards. And if you have any other questions or inquiries, don't hesitate to reach out. You can call us, you can email us. Anybody on the inside sales team would be happy to look after your needs.
Absolutely. Thank you for your time, everybody.
Thank you. Have a great afternoon.
Have a great one. Thank you.